Once upon a time, there was a young man named Dylan who decided to start his own YouTube channel reviewing films that he felt deserved more credit. Most of them, at least. Some of the ones you've talked about will probably still be forgotten for a reason. One day, as Dylan was contemplating what to present to his viewers, he decided to review one of his favorite fairy tale retellings called Ever After, starring the oh-so-fabulous Drew Barrymore. Welcome to Have You Seen That Film, where yes indeed we will be discussing Ever After, and if you have not seen this movie, you are truly missing out on what I call a magical telling of love. Ever After is the story of Cinderella. So if you've seen it, you in short notes how this story turns out. But the way they make this story, or make this movie, is rather interesting. It starts with an older lady calling upon calling upon the brothers Grimm to come to her home to tell them the real story of Cinderella. Because though she enjoys her stories, they were mistaken on when they told that story. And so, in all reality, there's not much to... You know the plot of Cinderella, everyone does. There's not much to explain there with the plot. But what I do enjoy about this movie that differs from the story is... or differs from the normal story, or the versions I've seen, is in the beginning we really do get to see this loving relationship between Danielle, aka Cinderella, and her father, and how much they love and care for each other. And when he brings in the stepsisters and the stepmother, what's really interesting, and I think it's the moment that it kind of shows why the stepmother ends up despising Danielle. When the father is dying, because he has like a heart attack, he looks at his new wife, and then he looks at Danielle and tells her, "I love her." And I kind of think that's the pivotal moment where the stepmother's like, "I don't like you because he loved you more than me. And I was supposed to be his bride, his new love." A decade later or so, years go by, and Danielle has grown up. Their family estate, all their servants have basically been sold except for 3 because her mother has such high spending problems. She likes to be fancy but doesn't have the money for her issues, for her habits, not issues. Well, it could be an issue. So Danielle is basically one of the servants now, and the mother obviously doesn't get rid of her. Not obvious. Doesn't get rid of her because that's like her pity. Like, oh, you were his daughter. I'm going to keep you, but you're a servant, and treats her like garbage. And rather than meeting the prince at the ball, Danielle meets the prince by throwing apples at him because she thinks he's stealing her father's horse. Not thinks, he is stealing her father's horse. She didn't know it was the prince. Where the prince, Prince Henry, is played by Dougray Scott, is running away because he does not want to live the life of a prince. He wants to go out and do things. So they meet early on in the story, not at the ball, and they have to keep Danielle feels like she has to keep it the charades, whatever you want to say it, of being courtier, and not just a lowly peasant, because being a prince, he can't marry a peasant and all that. So, that's where this story differs in a major way, and I think that's great because it allows us to actually fall in love with their relationship and hope for their relationship, because like the Walt Disney version is great, but And the story of Cinderella is so great, but it's usually they met at the ball, and then for some reason he can't remember her face, and they go around all over trying to get one woman to fit into a certain shoe. And I've kind of looked at it and been like, okay, there had to have been several other women who fit into the shoe. Yeah. How come we didn't take any of them? This is a long... Anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about how great Ever After is, because it is. It really is. Drew Barrymore plays a fantastic Cinderella for us. Again, Danielle. I'm just saying Cinderella. She's just so sweet and lovable, and when I say like the chemistry between her and Dougray Scott is so phenomenal. Like the two of them really played their parts well. Dougray Scott playing this in the beginning kind of conceited prince, like peasants are lower than us, and I don't know, they just play their parts so well, and I believe the romance between them. If I didn't know they were actors, I would have believed I was watching two people genuinely fall in love and telling us their love story. It was that great. And there's so many sweet moments in this movie that, I'm going to be quite honest with you, I cry when I watch this movie at the very end. Seeing it as it is the story of Cinderella, I'm not ruining anything. It doesn't have the grand... because he knows who she is, it's not this whole... he's going around the country and putting the shoe on different women. He still has the shoe she left behind, but that's because he actually kicks her out, because he finds out her stepmother reveals that she's not who she is. So he kicks her out of the ball, and you're really upset. You really want to punch him in the face. But what's so great about the ending is it's like Danielle is sold into slavery by this wicked man, to this wicked man. And Henry finds out about it, so he's on his way to rescue her. And before he gets there, Danielle actually frees herself. So it puts that twist on it, like she's this kind of given that, she's able to free herself within the moment of danger, and it shows her triumphant, and you're kind of like, yeah. But then Henry comes along, and though she's already rescued herself, he's still able to rescue her from the ongoing situation of her family, because where is she supposed to go? What is she supposed to do now that the prince has... Henry basically betrayed her. Not betrayed her, he just threw her off to the side, finding out that she wasn't who she was, that she wasn't royalty or higher up. And he comes to save her, and there's even a moment where she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I came to rescue you." But Henry still has the opportunity to save her from the ongoing depression she essentially feels from her family situation. And so the point I'm getting at, it's just really cool that we see Danielle save herself. She is rescuing herself. But it also shows that, in my head, the message I get is like, we can save ourselves, but we also still need rescuing from others. We also still need to be saved by others. And we see that, which is something really cool in my eyes. And maybe people don't see it that way, but I do. I think it's cool that she saves herself, but then she still is willing to allow someone to save her. So today's lesson, that's not what we're here for. I think as well, this movie is really good at playing with your emotions. You really hate the stepmother and one of the stepsisters. One of the stepsisters is actually really nice to Danielle, so that's another fun twist. But you there's that where you just hate it. There's moments where Danielle seems to be succeeding, and then she plummets back down, and then the whole romance. It plays with your emotions, which I love it when a movie does that, because I feel like I'm more invested in the film. I feel like I'm really wrapped up in the story if my emotions are going and I'm frustrated, and then I'm happy, and then I'm sad. That to me is a good movie, and that is what Ever After does. And this is by far the best retelling of Cinderella. It really is, and it's, I don't know, it's, in short, without having all the magic in it, not the fairy godmother, so there's no pumpkin changing into a carriage, or that. This movie is still magical. I find it more magical than movies that involve magic. I love it, and I think it's such a fantastic story, and it's just so sweet. And Drew Barrymore claims that this is kind of one of the movies that really helped her career continue. It was like a pivotal moment, a changing moment in her career. Because before this, she was a little girl actress, like an E.T. and things like that. And then she kind of went through this phase where she wasn't getting a whole lot of roles, or she was kind of just getting typecasted in smaller roles. Like, she has a small role in Batman Forever as one of Two-Face's essential, like, lady sidekick type things. But I was watching the Drew Barrymore show, and she says that this moment, like, this movie helped change her career and show that she wasn't what some of the films, her past films, have been portraying her as. And I'm so glad Drew Barrymore did this film. It's her best work. And Dougray Scott, who plays Prince Henry, fun fact about him, so he's the villain in Mission Impossible 2. And he actually was the original choice for Wolverine. But because he's scheduling with Mission Impossible 2, he couldn't get off for it. They ended up going with Hugh Jackman. So now everybody knows and loves Hugh Jackman, but it actually could have been everybody knows and loves Dougray Scott, because he could have had a whole completely different film career. But in my eyes, Dougray Scott, you're always going to be Prince Henry, followed by your phenomenal villain in Mission Impossible 2. Because let's be honest, you have some of the funniest villain lines in Mission Impossible history, and I love them. My wife and I quote them all the time. But anyways, Ever After, watch it. You will fall in love with the story of Cinderella all over again. Let's just put it that way. And in the end, your host, the young host, sorry, I'm not reading this right, Dylan, ended this episode of Hey, Have You Seen That Film? By riding off into the sunset, which is right behind this window next to me, and going out and kissing his wife and telling her he loves her, because I need to shout out my wife on this channel right now, because Ever After is one of our all-time favorite movies. So this is for you. I love you. He went out and kissed his wife and told her he loved her. And to his fans he said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this film. Hope you enjoyed this video. And I will see you later on Hey, Have You Seen That Film? The end. Until next time.